Doctor Doom is many fans' favorite villain because he is someone who you almost want to cheer for. Even though he's a villain, he has done some real good over the years, and there are times that Doom can even persuade you into thinking perhaps he isn't always such a bad guy. However, the other side to Doctor Doom is that he's an egotistical maniac whose obsession with always being right and always being the smartest and most gifted man in the room results in him pulling off some truly heinous acts and crimes that shock even his most supportive fans. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. Today we'll be discussing the glory and, more importantly, the horror that is Doom, as we count down the top 10 worst things Doctor Doom has done. If you love to hate or just love to love villains, click on over here to get more of your fill of evil characters with our top 10 supervillain playlist. And as always, be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I'll be taking it to the comments. Alright, now let's get counting these most dastardly deeds. Number 10. Made the Thing a villain. Way back when, in his classic villain days where many of Doctor Doom's plots were overly elaborate and therefore somewhat ridiculous, he created a time paradox when he forced the Fantastic Four to go back in time to retrieve Blackbeard's treasure. In so doing, he and the Fantastic Four team in essence created the dread Blackbeard, which it turned out was actually none other than Ben Grimm. In other words, Pirate Blackbeard would have never existed if not for Doctor Doom and the FF. So one, he not only created the legend of a rather cruel and vicious pirate, but he also made one of Marvel's biggest softies take on that role. Poor Ben. Number 9. DOOMBOTS. Doctor Doom has committed enough atrocious acts just as himself, it's true. But then you also factor in all the deeds his DOOMBOTS have done as well. There have actually been many instances that we've thought Doom himself was responsible for various villainous acts, only to find out that we were fooled by Doctor Doom and that this was actually a DOOMBOT disguised as him. There have also been many instances where we've thought Doom had died as well, only to find out that it was just a DOOMBOT who had perished. Still, although passionate fans will be quick to point out instances in the comics where that Doom was actually a DOOMBOT posing as the real deal, the truth remains that as the creator of DOOMBOTS, Doctor Doom is still technically responsible for all of their villainous and, in some rare cases, good acts. Very rare that they're good. Number 8. Mind Control Dragon Tattoos. In the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610, Victor Von Doom's alternate counterpart, Victor Van Dame, ended up using dragon tattoos to mind control those who joined his micronation known as the Free Zone in Denmark. In reality, those who joined the rent-free shanty town were not actually as free as they thought. In exchange for free living, those who joined Van Dame's Free Zone were asked to get dragon tattoos. Now, these tattoos allowed Van Dame to control the citizens as the microfibers in the tattoo interfaced with the wearer's brain. Number 7. Tortured the Fantastic Four family, including their son Franklin. And this is when he was just a little kid, by the way. Poor little Franklin. Of course, Franklin Richards is a super powerful mutant in the world of the comics, but when faced with a horde of demons, it became frighteningly clear both how horrified he was and how innocent and vulnerable Franklin still was as a child. This experience left Franklin traumatized even after the Fantastic Four family managed to escape their fate. Doctor Doom sent Franklin to hell while torturing every other member of the Fantastic Four. He forced the Thing to fight endless losing battles, set fire to Sue Richards, trapped Reed in a room filled with magic from which he could not escape, and gave the Human Torch Mr. Fantastic's powers, and then proceeded to use those stretching powers to tie him into a knotted monstrosity. Number 6. His relationship with Scarlet Witch. This was just a weird and convoluted story in general, but basically Doctor Doom managed to wipe Wanda Maximoff's memories, and then she fell in love with him and they were to be married. She didn't know who she was until Wiccan showed up and reminded her of her origin story and her family. Eventually Wanda put 2 and 2 together and figured out that Doom was manipulating her due to the fact that he seemed so concerned with her actually believing Wiccan's story. What's up with that, Doom? Doom also claimed to be doing everything out of concern for protecting the world from Scarlet Witch's unpredictable and unstoppable reality warping powers, and for his real and true love of Wanda. He really loved her, so he claimed. However, he later revealed himself to be a man obsessed with only power when Wanda transferred her reality warping power of the life force to him, and he went all crazy. He also claimed to be responsible for the death of the Avengers and mass extinction of the mutants. He was like, that wasn't Wanda, that was me. Wait, what? Number 5. Sacrificed his first love for sweet, sweet armor. Doctor Doom's inspiration for the name he gave his goddaughter Sue and Reed Richards' little baby girl Valeria came from his first love, a love that later returned to his life and who he learned was the only woman he had ever really loved. so he claimed. When she did return, however, it was revealed that Dr. Doom had ulterior motives for his oldest and truest love. He didn't want to be with her, not in a traditional sense anyways. He wanted to sacrifice her life and her soul in order to earn himself some powerful mystical armor. Readers watched as Valeria's skin burned away and her flesh was remade into Doom's shiny new armor. Number 4. Battleworld. Following the incursions, Dr. Doom was turned into God Emperor Doom when worlds collided and were destroyed, prompting Doom to use newly acquired reality warping powers and sort of reality mending powers to create his own universe. This universe would become known as Doom's Battleworld, a patched together combination of the broken Marvel realities. Doom himself became a god to all the heroes and citizens who lived there. He had his own army of Thors at his disposal, making Doctor Strange his deputy and turning Sue Storm into his consort. When Reed Richards finally managed to return and find Doom, he made Doom confess that Richards would have actually built a better world, and after fighting, Doom relinquished the power he'd used to Reed, who set out to actually remake the Marvelverse and most of its alternate realities once more, with only a few tweaks for improvements here and there. Number 3. Droit de Seigneur. While some may praise Dr. Doom for being a great ruler who brought prosperity to Latveria, we also need to acknowledge that he also snatches many of his people's rights and freedoms away in being their governing monarch and ruler. This was showcased when Dr. Doom exercised his right of droit de seigneur, marching into one of his faithful peasant Klaus's home on his wedding night and insisting that he be allowed to sleep with his bride Gretchen. While Klaus seems awkwardly accommodating, Gretchen appears downright shocked, upset, and possibly pissed off, and rightfully so. Also, yeah, Dr. Doom's Latveria still has a peasant class, so it isn't always depicted as being that great, because if it was, why do you have peasants? What's up with that? Number 2. Dictatorship Dependency. This is what Dr. Doom has created for Latveria, the nation he rules. While Latveria is considered a peaceful place with virtually no crime, nor problems of poverty or hunger harming its citizens, who do genuinely seem to worship and love their ruler, Victor Von Doom, it's also a place that has become so dependent on his leadership that anytime he leaves, it basically breaks. Meaning that if there ever comes a time when Doom must leave permanently or finally dies for good, Latveria's economy will collapse and the nation will quickly devolve into chaos and ruin. We've seen what has happened to Latveria before in the comics when Doom has ceased being its ruler, and it's truly never good for the nation. Number 1. Got bored of ruling the world. Remember that time Victor Von Doom took control of the Purple Man, aka Zebediah Killgrave, by trapping him in a psychoprism and used his focused powers by putting them in a gem, which he used to control the world? Now, you might think that sounds like the worst part of the story, Doom ruling the world, but in a strange twist, it actually wasn't. Using mind control, of course, is not really a heroic act, but in doing so, Dr. Doom was able to create peace on Earth. All wars ceased, no one went hungry, the global economy prospered under his rule. However, with no one to challenge him, Doom became bored. So he abandoned ruling the world just as the heroes rushed in to stop him, freeing the world, but in doing so also returning it to a state of disorder and chaos, which may have been the real crime in this story. Just Doom being like, I don't want to rule anymore, and we're all like, but wait, you were actually good at it. You had to use mind control, but still. Thank you so much for watching, Nerd Squad. What are some of the most horrible things that you think Dr. Doom has done? Do you prefer Dr. Doom as a villain, an anti-hero, or would you like him to become a full-out hero, perhaps? And what are some of your most favorite Dr. Doom stories or moments? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments for one of our latest videos, Top 10 Dark Alternate Versions of Robin. Galaxy Eyes Garchomp responds, the Robin King is completely twisted. He condemned Jonah Hex to an eternity of suffering, and so casually too. Robin King is definitely on a whole other level of dark when it comes to our Robins. He's just terrifying. Definitely not the version of Bruce Wayne I would want to run into in the multiverse. Harley Quinn writes, surprised that Jason Todd wasn't part of this list. His main story arc alone is dark AF. I feel ya, Harley. Red Hood is definitely one of the darkest Robins we have ever had, but he's not technically an alternate for the purpose of that list. Usually when we say alternate here on Top 10 Nerd, we actually mean a character from an alternate universe, a separate reality or world from that of our Prime Earth main continuity, which Jason Todd himself is definitely a part of. He is the most dark though, maybe in the main continuity. You're not wrong there. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels shouted out in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to stay nerdy, YouTube.